由甲状独家公播出的2014英雄联盟职业联赛夏季赛的直播现场。大家好，我是宝宝。在我们晚间的2场比赛开始之前
All right, it looks like we are back, everybody. Thank you for hanging out and waiting along. I know there's been a whole lot of other stuff to watch, but thanks for sticking with us at LPL in English. Once again, I am Devin Pyrotechnics Young, joined by Hubo Soldier Shim. Hubo, you ready to cast the second match of the day?
I am very happy, Devin. We are now going to our primetime match between StarHorn Royal Club and World Elite. Both of these teams look so strong right now. As I mentioned before in our last set, there are so many teams at the top of the table, of the Chinese LPL, and just, right now, I think that this will really show what the rest, this game right here, this set might really show what the rest of the season looks like, because both StarHorn and World Elite are playing extremely well, but they're unproven yet because they haven't played against, well, they have played against good teams, but they haven't shown very much consistency. And so I'm really eager to see if they post any confident and encouraging performances here.
I think that this is going to be a really, really big tell right now for both these teams, especially World Elite might sit at the top of the table for now, but it could all change after today. We have got a 2-game set to play against, and StarHorn World Club definitely an unknown coming into this, as they have changed quite a lot of their roster, only UZI really remaining constant since the spring split.
Yeah, most notably of those changes, they do have a new top laner from KX Cash, the LSPL team, but most notable of those changes was the decision to bring Insec into the jungle and Zero into the support role, along with, to play alongside UZI. And obviously, Insec recently made some highlights, especially on Reddit, headlines, especially on Reddit, for apparent BM behavior. I wouldn't take it too seriously, but, Insec and Zero have been playing really well. I think Zero, particularly, has been playing like the best support in China, so I'm really excited to see what they do against the 2 Koreans from World Elite. Of course, those members are Axine in the jungle and Ninja in the middle lane.
Axine, of course, coming over from, well, originally played for Jin Air, however, he was also a part of HQ Korea for the very brief stint that they were existing as well. So he's kind of been around in a lot of different scenes, and he's was, I think, fairly popular on a couple of picks. He used to play a lot of Riven, actually, in the jungle, and now
he plays
a lot of Lee Sin, too, and this is a popular pickup in China. Expect that to be very hotly contested. Insec, of course, the man on Lee Sin as well.
One of the reasons why what actually happened with Axine was that he was looking very strong in the Jin Air organization. He was actually on the Jin Air Stealths, I believe.
I think it was the Stealths, yeah.
Right, and then, and what happened was that, obviously, with former HQ AD carry Promise with his unfortunate attempt at suicide, I think nearly the entire roster of the former AHQ team decided to take some time off, but Axine, very nice to see him back into the scene. He's really talented. But honestly, I don't know if I can say the same for Ninja, because I'm not as high as Ninja as I am on some of the other Koreans in the league. Ninja has played fairly well, but I think that he can show much more, especially given the fact that, these Chinese teams are bringing in Koreans to be superstars, and if you're not a superstar, then you need to do your best to reach that kind of role or reach the pinnacle of gameplay.
Yeah, speaking of pinnacle gameplay, it really is an upgrade though for Ninja to be playing on a team like World Elite. He came from Prime Optimus, a team that was really not so hot in the last split, of course, over in Korea and OGN, but. Another possible reason, they seem to like to recruit them in pairs here. It's part of it, I think, is communication, but it just seems that the synergy, between, for example, this is a mid lane jungle synergy thing, and it's not just both because they both are going to be able to speak Korean and going to be able to communicate with each other a little bit better. But they seem to rely, I think, on World Elite especially, they seem to rely on trying to come up with a lot of new different strategies, and these are 2 people that definitely are capable of playing a lot of different stuff if given the opportunity.
Yeah, Devin, you're right, and I mean that synergy, the jungler mid lane synergy, is really apparent even in World Elite's play. A lot of the plays that Axine makes around the map are oftentimes centered around the middle lane. So don't be surprised if we do see Axine and Ninja, either traveling together as a duo to other lanes, or trying to pull off a good gank on the enemy jungler, one of the enemy buffs, or on the enemy middle laner, who in this case would be who in this case would be Ninja, and try to make something happen around the map. Alternatively, on the side of StarHorn Royal Club, the two Korean team members that they brought to play in the LPL were former teammates on the KT organization. So that synergy had already previously been established. Moreover, they were looking specifically to build this team around UZI, to build this team around Uzi, and so to have him pair with Zero, who has been playing extremely well in the LPL so far this season, and Insec, who recently, I always thought that Insec gestured toward the bottom lane more than any other lane, or at least the duo lane. They've been, I think, all of the superstars on StarHorn and World Elite have been playing very well together. So, again, I mean, we're not really putting down any of these teams right now, and that's just because all of these players look so talented. They're so strong right now, and we really need this game to determine. Right, we really need this game to determine, which team really is the better one.
Well, World Elite, they are sitting on top of the standings right now, but if anything, StarHorn is kind of a dark horse in this one, in that they just haven't really been as fully tested. I want to know I don't know if you know this one or not, but Zero, he was a sub at one point for KT Arrow. So there's, they were part of the same organization, but did they ever actually play together on the same squad?
So you mean the KT Bullets?
No, Zero was on the Arrows, I believe.
Right, so Insec has never played on the Arrows. Okay, first of all, Insec has never played on the Arrows, and I believe that Zero has never played on the Arrows as well, because the longtime support for the KT Arrows was Hachani. Now, there was actually a situation in either OGN or OGN Masters where Mafa actually didn't play. He was either taking a break or he was sick or something like that. So they did bring in Zero. So I do believe they played one set together. Or it might have been Leopard. I'm pretty sure it was Zero, not Leopard. So I do believe they have played one professional set in Korea together, but I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, so they've definitely had a little more chance to get more synergy lately on StarHorn, and of course they have played a couple of matches, done middling performance so far, but they've not really had this true test that they're going to get a chance to now. So this is the real proving ground. If StarHorn could even so much as take a game off of World Elite, it will be really, really big for them, confidence-wise, reputation-wise, and now we're going over, we're going over a little bit of last game's MVP. They gave that over to Clearlove, too, and I think that's completely merited. That Rengar was absolutely making plays.
Yeah, and this is the second straight game in which Clearlove received the MVP award. He got the MVP award of the first game too. So basically, he's been named the best player of the set, and I really have to agree. I mentioned before, when Edward Gaming is playing very well, a symptom of their success is usually shown on Clearlove's endgame kill death assist score, his KDA. And whenever Clearlove gets rolling, it really means that the entirety of Edward Gaming is really clicking. So I'm happy to see Clearlove get some of the spotlight, and he really needs, if EDG wants to contend for a title this season, beat out teams like StarHorn Royal Club, like World Elite, like OMG, they really need Clearlove clicking on all cylinders this season.
And you can see that we're not the only ones who are really definitely having a hard time predicting this matchup. You saw the little screen that the casters were talking about, what they were thinking of this upcoming matchup as 1-1, 2-0, 0-2. It's anybody's guess. We've had lots of predictions a minute on who's really going to take this series, and well, I want to get your prediction, Soldier. Who do you think will take this one?
I'm actually very hesitant to call anything, and I would be calling a 1-1 split. However, just because I want to be a little bit more bold, I will call this game 2-0 for Team World Elite. I really think that if they transmute some of the same strategies that they utilized in their set against Young Glory last week, I think World Elite can take the set, especially because StarHorn has shown hesitance and has shown themselves unable to match up against really crisp and clean play. So I want to see World Elite do well, but all of this really again hinges on whether World Elite can retain focus of what their compositions do, because when they have that at the forefront of their minds, they can beat anyone in the LPL.
It really is StarHorn's game to win or lose at this point, because they have so much strategy in the bank. I think they can really, if they decide to pull out the right thing, they should be able to do it. But it's going to be a tough matchup regardless. I'm hesitant to call this one as well. I really do think it'll be a little bit more even, but World Elite is at the top of the table right now, heavily favored. As you can see by a couple of those numbers, I think that 83% was just general win rate currently in the LPL for the summer.
Right.
But we're going through the introductions of the players right now. They just cycled through World Elite's jungler right there, and well, we'll skip it over. Do you want to take over this one?
Yeah, I mean, and you can see right there, we do have the mid lane Soraka being played by Ninja, but we do see that Axion did have 3 games on Lee Sin. Obviously, Lee Sin is going to be a very contested pick between Royal Club and World Elite, because as all of us know, Insect does play a very, very mean Lee Sin. So we'll have to see whether depending on who's on blue side in the first game, whether one of these teams decides to pull out, an interesting pick and ban strategy to secure themselves that champion, or whether one of these sides will just decide to ban it away. That man right there on your screen, Wei Zhao, he's played Lucian twice and Twitch in the last game. Wei Zhao has been playing so well. I mean, I think that this season really might be Wei Zhao's return to, his form of old, his season 2 form when he was the undisputed best the undisputed best AD carry in the world. I mean, Wei Zhao is looking really good. And, during the last season, I said that Wei Zhao, when he played Lucian, his Lucian was tier 1. It was as good as Nami's Lucian. But, I mean, he's showing a lot more with other picks as well. That Twitch is one of them. And I think that he'll transition really well into the next patch as well, where Caitlyn will definitely become more popular.
Yeah, that's his pocket pick go back up.
Yeah, definitely. Conan, on the other hand, has not been nearly as impressive. Conan does a lot of good things in lane. Obviously, he's a pretty young kid, but he's predictable. And when he gets his champion, when he gets either Nami or Leona, he becomes very predictable, and you're really able to work around those 2 picks. So I'd be careful. I'd be hesitant if I remember World Elite to try to put the entirety of a game onto Conan's shoulders by putting him on that Leona or a Nami, especially if they plan to lane swap.
Yeah, and he's had a lot of mixed results on a lot of his champions lately. He's played a lot of very strange AP picks. This is something that's a little bit more popular in China. Lysandra, Annie, Zyra, and he hasn't really done too well on him. Morgana's really been the only AP support that's really worked out so far. He's a pretty decent Thresh as well, and he was the first to use. Speaking of decent Thresh, we're gonna go straight over to Zero. So there we go. All picks right there. He's definitely favoring the Chain Warden as of late.
Right. I mean, Zero has been the best support in China so far. I think that, particularly if we're going to focus on his performances on Thresh, I actually think that Cloud might have something to say about who's the best Thresh in China. On the other side of that bottom lane, Uzi, as he's more popularly known in the Western Hemisphere, an unreal AD carry. He's another guy that's really coming back into form. We saw glimpses of his Season 3 World Championships brilliance, in the past season of the LPL. But I think he's really starting to come back. I actually don't know if he can reach the pinnacle of where he was before, especially since some of the champions that he used in last year's LPL and in the Season 3 World Championships aren't very viable right now. But I think he's been playing well. I think he'll play well this split. Korn, Yasuo main, loves to play Yasuo both in solo queue and in competitive games. Very good Yasuo player. That's clearly by far and away his best champion.
And Soraka might be a hotly contested mid lane this time as well, just because both mid laners really do like to play her a lot. There's also Twisted Fate possibility for Ninja. I expect that one along with Lee Sin to be kind of one of those pick ban guarantees.
Yeah, I don't know about Twisted Fate, but it would be interesting if the Twisted Fate is still on the cards, so to speak. I really want to key.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, thank you. I really want to key over, we can talk about Cola as well. Cola doesn't really impress me. He was a former top laner in the LSPL for KX Cash. Didn't impress me in the LSPL, didn't really impress me in the LPL. But I do want to talk about the Kazakhs pick because, many of our viewers are on multi-Twitch right now, watching the Samsung Blue and SK Telecom T1K game, and Samsung Blue's jungler Spirit, who many call the best jungler in the world right now, actually locked into Kazakhs, and he's doing fairly well on it. So I do. I would like to. I won't be able to really, commentate on that Kazakh's pick, at this very moment in time. I do want to theorycraft and, ask some pros a little bit, ask some pros for their opinions on the pick. But it is interesting, and it's nice to see, Kazakh stay on the competitive level despite some serious nerfs to his kit.
And I think Kazakhs won't really be contested as much this one. They may try to use it as a takeaway from Insect, but they're not even going to spend that ban, as we've already seen.
Like this is top Lulu.
Axe and Thresh already taken away. Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is definitely what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, that's a free prediction right there. Just because Xiaomei loves that top Lulu. Now the question really was giving, especially since Cola's top Lulu hasn't been spectacular, is giving up the Lee Sin and is giving the Lee Sin to Insect worth picking that top Lulu? At this point, I would say yes, because Xiaomei Xiaomei right now doesn't know how to carry on many champions, but his top Lulu is very, very good. So
yeah, the big issue right now is what is going to happen on the side of the World Elite jungle.
Right.
I mean, having that Lee Sin away, I mean, what is Axion going to do here? He's not going to go back to Riven, I don't think.
I wouldn't be surprised if Axion picked up Elise or if he picked up
a
Gragas.
Jungle Gragas. I don't even know right now.
I don't think it's a jungle Gragas. It's either going to be top lane Gragas or support, which means that Ninja would be playing the Lulu in the mid lane. So, yeah, I actually don't dislike this because when you play top lane Gragas, right? You customarily play top lane Gragas with two other two other champions. One of those champions is Lulu, because if you pick Lulu in a really strong but immobile AD carry, you just have a lot of PL through the mid game, through the late game, and you can really let Wei Zhao, we talked about Wei Zhao's resurgence before, you can really let Wei Zhao do what he does. Even though if that was the plan, I would have rather seen Wei Zhao on that Kog'Maw. Alternatively, you can pick the Gragas with the Yasuo, because those two champions synergize well. So it looks like they do decide to go for the Peel composition right here.
Yeah, they're hovering his
Peel composition. Right, so the problem, of course, when you do pick the top Gragas and the Lulu is that your front line engage is very good. So World Elite needs to pick threats to StarHorn Royal Club's backline, namely UZI's Kog'Maw, and it seems like Kazakhs is their answer, as well as Conan's Leona.
Yeah, this is a team that is going to be very heavily focused on diverting attention away from Wei Zhao's Twitch. It's a lot of hard engage and a lot of displacement, and this is still 4-9 too, so Kazakhs has a little bit more of that off-tankiness available. I think it's not quite as good as it used to be, but they've definitely got a lot of scaling potential the later on the game goes. On the other side, we see the final lock-ins, and it looks like we're going to load into the game pretty quickly because they got LeBlanc for Korn. I think this might be a pretty good win in the mid lane for StarHorn. A nice power move at the end of it to lock in that Assassin champ.
Right. Well, first of all, Ninja's actually... Lulu does... there's no champion does extremely well against a LeBlanc. But, I mean, not in patch 4.9. In patch 4.10 we can discuss. But in patch 4.9, no champion does extremely well against LeBlanc, but Lulu suffers less than other champions would, especially when she has her Whimsy as a silence. So, the LeBlanc pick, sure, I mean, that's fine. You want to get onto the back line, namely the Twitch, because the entire purpose, the entirety of World Elite's comp is to peel for Wei Zhao's Twitch. At the same time, LeBlanc, there might have been other answers there. Now, LeBlanc, when Korn plays LeBlanc, he tends to play fairly aggressively. Sorry, let me revise that statement. Korn doesn't know when to play aggressively and or defensively on LeBlanc. So I never really enjoyed his play on that particular champion, so hopefully he can prove me wrong and, show some real creative flair when playing the Deceiver.
Well, both teams have a pretty solid lineup for frontline. They have Cola on that Shyvana. They have Insect. Insect is a playmaking jungler. It's not just Lee Sin. He also favored a lot of Kazakhs. He should know how to effectively counter jungle Kazakhs. And this is going to be a very, very definitive early game for both teams. World Elite has a pretty strong scaling late game, but only if they get a couple of kills early on the Kazakhs, perhaps on well, they don't have to really get a lot to on Wei Xiao, but they can certainly try to pick early kills and get these opportunities open for them. Ninja, on the other hand, is going to have a rough time holding against Korn, even though he does have really good kite and poke.
Yeah, you do have to wonder which team decides to initiate a lane switch right here, even though I do think we will be seeing some interesting level 1s. And that's because that's because if you're a member of World Elite, you have two fairly strong lanes in Xiaomi's Gragas, especially in the top lane where you would have Xiaomi's Gragas facing off against Cola's Shyvana, and I think that would be a solid win for the side of World Elite. At the same time, though, if Xiaomi's Gragas is not traveling with Axine's Kha'Zix, it leaves him really susceptible and vulnerable to Insect just punishing that pick really hard. Again, if Insect travels into the enemy jungle alone, then he's susceptible. He's vulnerable to isolation damage. But again, I keep saying again. But World Elite,
You said it again.
like I said before, it's really interesting what World Elite decides to do here. But it looks like we might get standard lanes.
Yeah, this would be one of the most interesting twists of the night. You almost expect the shenanigans. And speaking of shenanigans, a little bit of poking, just a little bit of fun play from each jungler as they decide to try and do something a little bit abnormal in how usual it is. But it looks like they're clustering now, possibly for a late invade. This is Conan and, of course, Axine hiding out in a couple of bushes as well as Wei Xiao. They're actually all posturing for it, including with Ninja.
Yeah.
They're going for
They're
this
spotted
late invade.
out. Right, but they're
They're
spotted
gonna
out
power
by
this
the
one
ward,
through.
though.
Yeah, they are seeing
Yeah,
this is just going to be back off.
Right, so in the end, if World Elite can secure a 3-buff start for that Kha'Zix, then that would be really, really nice because, with the Lee Sin pick on the side of StarHorn Royal Club, Insect is all about counter jungling and pressuring the lanes right now. So I wonder if World Elite is going to rush towards their own red buff or not to secure that. It looks like they would be too late on the rotation because I do think that StarHorn is just going to go immediately to the enemy side of the jungle. They do ping it out, so it looks like it'll be an even 2-buff start.
Yeah, so pretty much normal, and this is what we always talk about, how the map isn't really being divided in that diagonal line that the mid lane provides. It's really more divided in a horizontal line across the middle, so the top half of the jungle is owned by one team and the bottom by the other. You see the jungle buddy system coming out. This is all very, very standard, and it will result in this delayed 2 to 4 man push that ends up just creating a lot of pressure and making the top laners basically put very far behind. And I think this favors actually World Elite a little bit because Xiaomei not as dependent on that early to mid power spike as Cola.
At the same time, though, StarHorn Royal Club is going for their early dragon. That is what you give up if you decide to go for your own blue buff. So StarHorn looks like... Right, so StarHorn, they're getting the dragon at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and this is on patch 4.9, ladies and gentlemen. So therefore, the gold from the dragon will not be an immense sum, even though it will help them. So StarHorn does get the early dragon, and I think the lanes will stay like this for another few minutes, at least until we see the second dragon fight or a push turret.
Now, there's no timer, of course, given over to World Elite, but they have to know that it happened. This is almost standard affair. A 3-minute dragon, as insane as it seems, in the LPL is just becoming an extremely common occurrence way before First Blood even goes down. It's this weird non-aggression pact. They know what each other's going to do. They're not going to try to collapse. They're just going to try and secure as many objectives. And, whoa, okay, here goes the action as Cola is caught between a bug, well, and a lot of other things. He's going to try and back away, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He should be able to. They don't want to dive in on that just yet. Everyone's a little bit too weak in this early game, so advantage point right now for StarHorn on the back of that dragon.
Yeah, really good, just even if that move in the end didn't work out, really good map awareness coming out from the side of World Elite to know that Cola was going to teleport to the top lane and possibly, bring about his impending doom. Fortunately for Cola, though, Axine shows a little bit too early and he is able to, recall right out of there. But we're returning to these standard, these 2v1 lanes, the Australian meta, some of our friends in the LCS calls them. And it looks like Uzi's farming extremely well on that Kog'Maw.
He is actually keeping up over Wei Xiao right now, and this is a pretty big deal. He is, Kog'Maw is a pretty good late game hyper carry champion, but at the same time, he can have a little bit of trouble farming way early on. Of course, the 2v1 certainly favors him as Xiaomei really can't do a thing against him, can't get anywhere near that Pokebot lane.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's good. Chow Mei does have the explosive casks, the barrel rolls. So wait, is that what they're called?
Oh, that's the ultimate, but he does have. I just like to call it a barrel roll too. I always forget what the actual
I would call it a barrel roll as well. So he does have the barrel rolls though, and that's why he will be able to farm sufficiently. He is leading StarHorn's Cola, the top laner, on his Shyvana.
Completely denied, actually. We didn't talk about this. Wei Xiao has been poking the tower down. He's been poking the minions away. He's been freezing incredibly impressively, and it's all that Cola can do just to gather up tiny slivers of experience and level up just a little bit. I mean, look at the level differential. 3 to 4 right now. It doesn't seem huge, but it's a very slow advantage in favor of World Elite right now. As Cola's power spike just going to be delayed, and Wei Xiao just zoning away from the turret completely. This is going to be an easy first one for World Elite.
Cola has been Cola just turned level 3, and Chow Mei has been level 4 for a while. So expect Chow Mei to hit level 5 soon, actually. Additionally, I mean, Chow Mei, we talked about the barrel rolls before. He's leading StarHorn's Cola by over 10 CS, so things aren't looking great for the Shyvana right now, and you have to wonder, especially given that, in my opinion, Cola is a low impact top laner anyways, so you have to wonder how hard he can carry this game
right now. They might go for this chase. Actually, it's getting turned around as Korn finds Ninja with the... Well, he disconnects the chain, and he'll walk it out. But that could have been very, very dangerous right now for StarHorn. Still no first blood at 6.5 minutes into this game. Both teams playing this so cautiously.
Yeah, Ethereal Change doesn't stun, so there is no play made from Korn. And, I mean, as I said before, I don't really trust Cola's ability to carry. So given, his track record, given his history, you really have to wonder whether he'll have, any if at all, impact on that Shyvana. So, I mean, the first teleports will really be key right here. Cola might decide to, four-man gank one of these, either the top or bottom lane, from both teams. Alternatively, they just might decide to wait until the dragon.
No, still nothing. The misfires right now continue. Here's the problem with Cola right now. That something very strange is that normally when he goes Shyvana, he ends up building this extremely tanky, no damage whatsoever presence, but all he's been able to do so far is buy a pair of Doran's Blades. And this is going to, if he goes for this build, set him way far behind. And that's just not going to help. Oh my goodness, Conan is hanging out in the jungle right now with Axine. They're going for a teleport in as well. Chow Mei, they're looking to shove this one. And here they come revealing. He realized he has nowhere to go. This tower is almost dead. They're tanking it all the way. They're going to give this kill over to Wei Xiao. And oh my goodness. The four-man collapse comes out big, and First Blood comes out at 8 minutes, giving it over to Wei Xiao, and should put him up a little bit over Uzi, who he hasn't actually even seen in lane just yet. A nice play by World Elite.
I think we said at about the 7-minute mark that we should expect a four-man gank onto one of these lanes. Really good awareness by World Elite. That was the teleport that the members of World Elite needed. Wei Xiao even pops his spray and pray, formerly known as Rat-a-tat-tat, God bless. But Wei Xiao does pop his ultimate on the Twitch to clear out the waves and then recall, because he does want to get into the bottom lane now, so they can retain dragon control, or actually, recapture dragon control, because StarHorn did get the first dragon of the game, and have, a heavily fed Chow Mei, at least in terms of CS, lane against Cola's Shyvana.
Yeah, doing so far so good this game. Cola, he's been able to pick up a little bit of farm now that the tower has fallen down, but without really providing a whole lot of presence to his team, he's not even going to really be able to help contest this dragon as much, as he's just down a couple of levels. Now, I guess he's keeping up with Uzi and Insect for the time being, but they need to get him a little bit more powerful before they decide to take any serious fights.
And dragon really is the next objective right now. We do see, Chow Mei's in the mid lane right now, so he can easily come and try to
collapse on this one, I think. Yeah, it looks like they're going to start it up. So StarHorn, they have a four-man on it. They are pushing towards it, doing a lot of damage early on, true, as they were able to collapse on this one, following it, have a teleport in on their ward as well. But there's a lot of members of here trying to pick it up. The explosive cast comes out, but it gets smited away by Insect. Clear timing advantage on that one, and they pick it up.
Yeah, really, really nice job by Insect to get the smite onto the dragon because the explosive cask and the barrel, when combined together, is very good at controlling objectives, despite the fact that it got nerfed from the time when it was, uber powerful, and it was even more powerful than most levels of smite. So nice job from StarHorn to retain their
Zero
advantage.
getting hit up right now as Conan is diving him in, as well as the rest of World Elite. Conan takes a whole lot of shots, and Uzi answers a little bit of damage back, but it is a 1 for none, and they can push this tower almost for free. There is no way that Uzi can stay here. And this tower is going to probably fall pretty quickly at this point. So Conan teams up with his other bot lane partner, that of course is Wei Xiao, and their jungler Axine to really put a lot of hurt onto that bot side. They picked up Zero, really made it look easy that time.
Yeah, and I think I'm just rejoining you because I did spend some time away for AFK on the internet, I guess. I don't know exactly what happened.
You weren't browsing Reddit, were you?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta get in my Reddit game before I come back to cast.
There you go.
We're busy people. We need to take our breaks once in a while.
Oh, this is what we do, man. We multitask. We got like 5 streams on right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Chinese stream is not on, but very good job from World Elite to capitalize on another kill, get that second dragon. Given the fact that World Elite's composition is not very good at sieging turrets, it is very impressive that they've been able to get 2 turrets already, as opposed to the 1 from StarHorn Royal Club. So you really do have to think that World Elite, after they all recall, they're going to get back, and then eventually.
Right. He's going to get caught up right now. Man, Conan, he flashes, but he can't quite clear the wall, and the explosive cast comes up huge. And there's Axine jumping in to pick the kill up onto the enemy jungler. Insect going to get dropped.
Okay, I was significantly behind you right there. Now I'm good.
There we go. Cool. Technical issues. No, we could talk a little bit about this as, some of you guys who might be joining us wondering, hey, we talked about these tournament realm accounts. We're going to be doing the live spectate. When is that coming? When is that coming? We actually tried it out tonight. Didn't quite work out, as there are a few kinks to work in the system, but I think we're pretty good to go for, if not one of the next broadcasts immediately after that. So this will be one of the last times that you'll be seeing the stream over a stream kind of thing going on.
Right, and the hope is, of course, I mean, we can either attribute our problems in Game 1 of the World Elite Young Glory set, sorry, not World Elite, Edward Gaming Young Glory set, to either hardware issues or to the tournament realm itself. So we're very close to figuring that out because we're running a lot of custom games, and we're sorry for the technical inconveniences. But getting back into this, right? But getting back into this fight, or back into the game. World Elite, as I mentioned before, they want to be pushing turrets down right now and really opening up the StarHorn side of the jungle. They do have the Kha'Zix, they do have the Lulu, they have Conan's Solar Flare, despite the fact that Conan's Leona has been on and off, and they do have the ambush utility coming out from Wei Xiao, so they do have a lot of pick potential. And if StarHorn might find themselves in a very awkward situation if they roam into even their own side of the jungle without the proper vision control.
Game is definitely pretty close to even, about only 1,000 gold advantage over to World Elite, and that's despite 2 dragons going in favor of StarHorn, by the way. This is a very, very close game. 3 kills certainly helping World Elite's cause. They just have been finding better picks, capitalizing on the mistakes, the small mistakes by StarHorn.
Yeah, and I mean, that also given the fact that the CS is relatively even on the side, on both sides of the map. So the 3 kills really making all the world of the difference in keeping World Elite in this game, despite having given up 2 dragons in the early game.
Clearing out a couple of jungle camps now. Ninja buddying up once again with Axine, and they're going to look to clear a couple more wards away as well. But there's a lot of members of StarHorn clumping up over by this river bush, and Zero actually going forward, but he backs away, thinks better of it. He's got to have been seen out right now, as Xiaomei is there. They're trying to back away and maybe not get caught on that one, so a big roam squad just gets turned on its head, and this mid-tier tower still a lot of health right now.
Yeah, they actually had cleared out Vision of the Burst, so they know there were no wards in there, but you have to wonder, it didn't show on the broadcast whether Xiaomei had saw them or not. So if not, then good awareness from Xiaomei to know that, with all the members of StarHorn gone, they might be somewhere in their side of the jungle.
And they really have been doing a pretty good job at just being scary, just showing their presence. And at this point, StarHorn, they don't quite want to take a straight engage. They want to try and get these picks. They definitely have an assassination-focused comp or a poke from their AD carry. it's a composition that you don't want to get caught out in because you don't have a lot of mobility. UZI and Zero in particular have been particularly squishy, and even though UZI hasn't died yet, they're significantly behind the 2-0 Twitch right now, and I think in this patch, Twitch is definitely a bit more powerful of a champion in general, so they don't want to take straight fights so they can avoid it.
Right. I mean, you know, both of these compositions are very, you know, I think they spike in power in about the same at about the same time, and you really have to wonder, you know, should a lot of World Elite games go to the late game? They go to past the 30-minute or 40-minute mark, so you really have to wonder, you know, when you do have a top Gragas, he starts to become relatively difficult to play with just because there are so many options, you know, to use that explosive cask, and he's not very powerful in the late game. So World Elite, I mean, the time might be ticking because, you know, they can only do so much until...
Oh, they're going to find Insect, though. He's going to get locked up on the Solar Flare. Teleports, both of them coming in, and it's going to be Xiaomei arriving to the party first as the other teleport was canceled. So Colo not having that available. This is going to be a free Dragon for World Elite, their first of the game. Certainly going to catapult them into a solid gold lead at the start of this mid-game.
Insect definitely did not expect that much damage to be coming out just out of 2 members of World Elite. I didn't expect that much damage. I just kept casting because I didn't think that would be a kill onto Insect's Lee Sin.
Yeah, it was a
really nice play. Yeah, really nice play. That was the pick potential we were talking about, though. Really just trying to camp the enemy lanes, ward the enemy jungle, go into stealth, just look for plays all over the map. Yeah, very deep wards.
Look at the use of sweepers. Both teams have 3 sweepers right now, but who is using them more effectively? You see the clearing coming out from World Elite as soon as they take these good fights, and as a result, they have the entire mid
just 2 wards.
Yeah, and all that river warded up, but there's only 2 wards out on the side of StarHorn.
Yeah, and those 2 wards are on are in places that don't have a lot of game impact. Granted, World Elite's wards aren't the most efficient either. It looks like they're just kind of painting an abstract picture, you know, all of their team members trying to put as many wards on the map as possible. But even that's better than what StarHorn has right now, especially given the fact that they need to ward their flanks, they need to protect the UZI's Kog'Maw, they need to know at all times where the stealth members or potential burst from the side of World Elite is coming from.
StarHorn, they got to be a little bit desperate to try and set up a couple of picks here because they just haven't been successful at all in pulling kills. They haven't given a lot up, but by the same token, this is a team that really needs a couple of kills and items to start to get steamrolling. You need to get your carry a little bit more fed. You need to get your LeBlanc having a couple kills in Corn. He's been solo roaming this mid most of the time and just hasn't had any opportunities.
I mean, you know, when you do pick the LeBlanc and you do pick the Lee Sin, you generally want to get ahead in the early game. You generally want the enemy team to respect you, and you want to use that. You want to utilize that respect by punishing. We do see a pause right here.
And it does look like UZI
disconnected, right? And you do want to use that. You do want to use that respect to punish the enemy jungler, but World Elite, just because they've been warding so well, there has been really no reason to fear Insect's Lee Sin. In fact, they've gotten 2 kills on Insect's Lee Sin. I think both of those kills actually went to Wei Xiao. So Wei Xiao's looking very happy right now. 3 out of 4 kills on his team. A lot of the gold is allocated towards that Twitch, towards that rat at this current moment in time. And when Wei Xiao does get going, you know, we talked about Wei Xiao's reclamation or his journey back to elite tier 80 carry status in China, the land of 80 carries, right? You know, when we talk about Wei Xiao, I mean, this is really his chance to shine. He has 3 kills right now. It's about 22 to 25 minutes in the game, and he has a chance to carry his team, and I think that Wei Xiao can do exactly just that.
Would you say that when he gets going, he gets go-going?
You know,
only if he's playing against OMG.
I mean, go-going hasn't been playing that well, you know, recently. So I wouldn't be saying go-going. I wouldn't be saying go-going is go-going at all. But he certainly.
Sorry, go ahead.
Wei Xiao certainly can stomp insects though, especially with that rat.
They're looking pretty happy now. I think this means they've gotten a little bit back into the game, or they're about to get back into the game.
Yeah, it does look like that. And
so we'll
look at those.
Just a minute.
I really like those keyboards right there. Red keys, white keyboard. I think a lot of them. I think almost.
No, that's very stylized.
Yeah, I actually kind of want that keyboard. I'm actually going to ask Michael if he can get World Elite to send me those kinds of keyboards because very sexy right there. You know, and
Shipping's probably going to be a little bit of a pain from China.
Right, World Elite is playing sexily as well. I do want to mention the fact that, you know, Ninja, despite having a 0-0 and 0 KDA, despite the fact, you know, he has a null scoreline right now, he's been playing really well. I mean, he's been putting pressure on the appropriate parts around the map, especially around the enemy jungle, and he's also been warding well too. So, you know, we talk about World Elite in terms of...
That was close.
Yeah, that was really close.
They might have to give this blue buff up, though. It's wandering over in the direction of somebody, but they're just going to pick it up for free.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, this is StarHorn respecting their early lead, and especially respecting Wei Xiao. They know that Wei Xiao can go into ambush any moment. They'll basically have no answers for the AD carry. But, you know, we were talking about before about, you know, the growth of certain teams, especially, you know, the growth of the Chinese region as a whole. And the Chinese region used to be predicated off of kills, so it's really nice to see, you know, that these days, when these Chinese teams are playing, you know, every individual player is doing so much more than just chasing kills. They're warding correctly. They're applying pressures on the appropriate parts of the map. They're pushing waves in their favor. So really nice on World Elite, manipulating the map expertly, adroitly, and perhaps fulfilling the vision that World Elite management had when they brought in Hero to coach them.
This definitely seems like a more matured lineup, especially out of World Elite. You know, this is the team that has some of the most long-standing experience in the entirety of the LPL, entire China scene. They have Wei Xiao, big monster from Season 2, of course. They have they definitely were instrumental in starting the idea of bringing in Korean coaches and infrastructure. I don't think they were the first team to do it, but they were certainly one of the big ones as well. And World Elite is a team that is very storied. They have a huge chip on their shoulder to perform well, and I think it seems to be this is their time to shine once again.
Right. This is where it gets awkward for StarHorn Royal Club, especially after this mid lane turret goes down. Just because since Korn and Kola are so underfed, Korn's scoreline is null right now, and Kola has a death to his name. Also, you know, they were you know, Kola was shut down in the early game, and Korn didn't get any significant advantages on a LeBlanc, on a champion that is almost predicated on roaming and getting kills in the early game. So you really have to wonder whether Korn and Kola are the appropriate answers to World Elite's Wei Xiao, to the AD carry right now, because it doesn't look like that those two champions can do the job. The other option... Right. The other option would be for Insect to pull an Insect, basically, and, you know, land an extremely good kick on Wei Xiao. But Wei Xiao, you know, for the past 3 weeks, he's been positioning so beautifully, so I don't know if he will put himself in the position to be manipulated in that kind of way.
Yeah, not to mention, Insect just really hasn't panned out this game. A lot of his roams have been really good at the beginning. It looked great on paper, but then when he tries to execute them, he can't find an angle, and then he just gets caught out in the jungle. His 2 deaths were direct results of just simply not finding anything and then being stranded out. And here goes Wei Xiao. He's going to find Korn. Look at the damage he's dishing out immediately. There's the kick on. Oh, it doesn't even matter. He'll pick him off. He flashes out of that solar flare, and now they're chasing on a 0 and Insect. Oh my goodness. Conan is helping so much as well, and they pick a kill onto Insect. It's 2 more kills over to Wei Xiao. Red buff completed. This is insanity right now. Wei Xiao is 5-0 on this game, and there is no stopping this steamroll. Second tier tower going to fall. There is nothing StarHorn can do about it.
This is exactly what we were talking about. I mean, you know, Insect and Korn have no answers to Wei Xiao. They put everything on him. They basically, you know, obviously, Insect could have thought about, you know, if he had gotten there quickly enough, he could have thought about Dragon's Raging, using Dragon's Rage onto Wei Xiao. Speaking of Dragon, this is going to be completely free.
This is going to be totally free. StarHorn just scatters the moment that they see Wei Xiao. They cannot fight him at this point. He is 5-0, starting to get very, very scary, and fed as well. And on top of it, they have people trying to side push the entire lanes because they have Axine causing pressure up in this top. It is just the perfect strategy. Look at this again on the replay. Wei Xiao goes in on Korn, shoves him hard. The Nami ult completely whiffs him by. Insect tries to get the kick, can't do anything. Conan has the ult to make sure he gets slowed down in time. The poison is ticking. Insect tries to go in, has to flash away. His poison ticks him down anyways. 0 might get away, but man, was that beautifully executed by World Elite.
I mean, and so Conan actually put the Ignite onto Insect to help Wei Xiao finish off that kill. But you saw right there, first of all, Wei Xiao was able to dodge the tidal wave beautifully. I mean, what really good micro, just great mechanics coming out of WX. Also, you know, Insect was actually posturing to use that Dragon Rage ultimate onto Wei Xiao, but the combination of Wei Xiao's flash out of there, as well as Conan's excellent...
Wei Xiao again! My goodness, Uzi, half his health is gone, and the rat-a-tat-tat is shredding through the rest of it. He is all he can do to back away from this one. Anytime he pops out of stealth, Wei Xiao is just wrecking people.
I mean, he's 5-0-0 right now. He has a lot of damage on him. Already finished the Blade of the Rune King. Already finished the
have the complete items. Look at this. He's going. Yeah. He could finish up the Banshee's Veil just in case he gets caught anytime he wants. Go for the Eye Edge to dish out the more damage. The Blade of the Rune King static shift combo is definitely keeping him pretty big right now. But the item differential is just becoming monumental.
Yeah, I mean, monumental is exactly correct. You know, World Elite is 6 kills up. I think the dragons are even now because WE did get the last 2 dragons. Wei Xiao is playing so well right now, and you know, right? Give 6K gold at 25 minutes. That's humongous. Give credit to the other members of WE, especially Conan.
Speaking of Conan, he manages to escape miraculously.
Nice.
Bubble, a nicely timed flash, and StarHorn. They could have actually started to sneak a Baron, but there's no way they're going to get anywhere near that now.
There might be a collapse right here.
They actually have to spend a Nami ult. Yeah, that was a good way to avoid the collapse, but every single time they try to get something, they just can't quite find the picks. Completely gold-starved this game, and World Elite is running the map.
I mean, you know, we were talking just before that play about, and I don't think the poke is going to amount to anything right there.
They're playing fun in the Baron Pit. This is another thing that's always fun.
The sandbox. So, you know, World Elite. I mean, just of course, all credit to the members of World Elite. However, particularly Conan, even though I've been critical of his Leon in the past.
Oh, Axine! Okay, he's going to be just fine. Insect, oh my goodness. Insect once again tried to make the big play. He ends up getting blown up instead, and Cola flashes out of that pit because Baron is angry.
Yeah, Lord Nasher is angry.
He desires one throat, but they won't give it to him, not this time.
He desires the dragon, but, you know, unfortunately for him, the dragon did run away that time.
Dragons? I guess if they're Baron Nasher side worms.
Baron's a worm?
Hey, looks like
I thought he was
Oh, no, Zero! I don't even have time to call it. He gets melted in the blink of an eye. There is nothing StarHorn could do, and they're actually, well, they're jumping into the Baron Pit. Not sure if they really want it, weighing their chances. Now they're going to start up. Wei Xiao pokes it out again. Axine says, thanks a lot, man. He takes a lot of damage from that, actually. He's trying to bait this out.
Yeah, Wei Xiao, they actually could have done it and finished it successfully right there. They might try for another bait, but just because of how fed Wei Xiao is, additionally, Wei Xiao's Twitch does have the Blade of the Rune King. So they could do Baron quite quickly if they wanted to, but it looks like they all just reset the gold in their bank, and then come out even stronger than they were before. So again,
the recall, so they thought better of it.
Oh, okay.
They realized. I don't think they realized how far ahead they were until just then. 5.5, 6K up. This is getting bursted down so fast. And StarHorn, even if they have a clue that it's happening, they're not comfortable enough to get anywhere near the pit. This is going to turn into a turtle fest, and I really don't see StarHorn Royal Club coming out of it.
Yeah, 4 trinkets on the side of World Elite. They were able to sweep all of the vision around the Baron Pit. Additionally, the minions that were going to the inhibitor turret in the bottom lane, they spotted out 2 members of StarHorn Royal Club, so they knew that they could do... so the members of WE knew that they could do Baron Nasher quite easily and quite quickly as well. As I mentioned before, that Blade of the Rune King does amazing damage onto Nash. So once again, I think World Elite won't be uncomfortable at all, just going, you know, rushing into the fray and even diving turrets in order to pick up kills and turrets. Alternatively, they can do what they've been doing all game, and that's been, you know, hiding in their enemy jungle, really looking for picks, completely starving out gold and vision from the side of StarHorn Royal Club. But, you know, World Elite might get a little impatient, so we'll have to see what the side of WE decides to do right here.
Well, so far, so good for them as they have been perfect this game, not giving up a single kill and hardly too many objectives. They really are living up to the name right now. It is just miraculous what a turnaround you can have between seasons. World Elite is just phenomenally ahead, protecting Wei Xiao amazingly well. There's nothing that StarHorn can really do to get in their faces. Insect been completely neutralized realized he's been trying to make plays, but he just never hit that power spike he needed to, and as a result, he's just fallen further and further behind. And look at the freedom that they have to build up these items. A couple of death caps right now. They put one on Gragas, so they're like letting him burst as well, even if it's not quite as good as scaling. He's just going to freely take this red buff, or at least start it up for Wei Zhao, and StarHorn can't even try to contest even though they have superior numbers.
Also, just because World Elite has 2 skills, namely Explosive Cask and Wild Growth on their side, that basically means that it would be very hard for Insect to, you know, Q in, uses Resonating Strike to go in, ward hop, and kick Wei Zhao back into his own, to the remaining 4 members of his team because of those defensive utilities on the side of WE. I mean, WE, you know, this is a protect the Wei Zhao composition, and Wei Zhao, he's 5-0 and 0. You know, I think he's been protected.
Well executed.
Yeah,
that's night and day on these 2 teams. You look at what they tried to do. The strategies that they looked like they were trying to go for didn't seem too one-sided. World Elite and StarHorn both tried the lane swap out. It both worked out pretty well. But then you saw the difference in gank attempts. Then you saw the difference in roams. The 4 5-man squads just really outclassed it. The positioning was better. The rotations were better. And as a result, World Elite simply was the better team for executing this game.
I mean, of course the game's not over yet. Obviously,
no, but it's looking pretty rough right now for StarHorn.
It is looking fairly grim, just because, of course, you know, there are a bunch of early game champions, or champions that need to get ahead in their early game, on the side of StarHorn Royal Club, and they do absolutely nothing. You know, before I commented right before the game when going over, you know, the list of players on each side of the map, namely on StarHorn Royal Club, that first of all, I still don't think that Cola is a very good top laner. He's certainly not in the upper tier of LPL top laners. Additionally, you know, they put a Yasuo ban against Korn, and it seems to have worked. I mean, he hasn't, you know, his LeBlanc hasn't been outstanding, despite the fact, you know, despite how many times Korn has put LeBlanc and how popular that champion is in all aspects of League of Legends gameplay.
Yeah.
So,
oh, look, they're trying out the death brush themselves, but there's no one. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Sorry, guys. We're just gonna have a dance party.
Yeah. I mean,
going back to this,
right.
We talked about Ninja probably being the weakest link on this World Elite squad. He didn't really have any help from Axine in the early game, since Axine was so focused on trying to even up the top lane a little bit more, or at least apply a little bit more pressure. And because, even with the alleviated pressure, Korn was not able to get anything going. It really does show the night and day contrast between the relative skill and the weakness of Korn's low champion pool.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you know, in terms of weaknesses in the rosters, I actually would say that Ninja is near the top. You know, I'm just going to disagree with you this once because, you know, Ninja isn't a flashy player, first of all, but he does what he needs to do. And if you're a team on a professional level, you know, on the Chinese professional level, that's playing against other squads that don't have a very firm grasp of vision control, then all you need to do is basically what you exactly have, quote unquote, have to do. So, I mean, he's playing so well right now, and does look like, despite the fact that StarHorn had set up a death brush earlier, World Elite will go into this top lane right now to take down that second tier turret.
And they were already putting a lot of pressure on it anyways with just a 2-3 disadvantage, and now they may not have a wave, but they're debating whether or not they want to dive on this one. Baron is going to come up in a couple of minutes. They'll clear waves and just be content to do so for now. The only damage being dealt on the side of StarHorn is that of Uziai's Living Artillery, and this is not going to last much longer. This tower is getting bursted. There's a Leona ultimate. They're looking for its time to shine. Zero tries to get his big tidal wave out, and it looks like Conan is tanking everything up. He will not quite go down. He somehow survives that one, and they get the tower. They don't manage to take down Korn, but they're pretty happy with the fact that they still have an 8-0 on the game. Well played to take that tower down on the power push.
How is Conan alive right now? I mean, just
I have no idea.
Really nice, explosive cask coming out from Xiaomi's Gragas to essentially scatter all 5 members of StarHorn Royal Club. At least I think all 5 members, if not 4. So, you know, nice job from WE. They got the turret, which means that it's worth it. Ideally, you know, they had just run out on the Baron buff, and when you do have the Baron buff, ideally you do want to do a little bit more. You know, the highlights start going around the inhibitor turrets and the inhibitors themselves, and possibly even the game. But World Elite, given how their composition works and given how successful they've been in getting picks around the Baron pit, last time they were in this situation, I'm sure World Elite doesn't mind going back to the Baron pit and restarting this dance.
It'll be up in about 30 seconds anyways, and this is just going to be easily run by World Elite. One of two things can happen here. Either they goes completely uncontested and they just pick it up for free once again, just by virtue of having scared the living daylights out of StarHorn, but if that doesn't happen and they get the contest, they should be able to turn around a fight fairly easily. Like, they don't even want to contest this red buff right now. Wei Zhao does get, well, he does get a Sonic Wave on his head from Insect, but Insect doesn't want to go anywhere near the sewer rat at this point. He's way too well protected by the rest of his team. And StarHorn is in complete disarray as they have no way to get an angle on it, and I think they're just going to start this Baron up.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the wise decision right now. They don't...
They're still baiting.
Well,
oh,
they're still baiting.
Oh. Smart enough not to quite go into that one.
Yeah, Axion actually attempted to use his leap over the wall, but failed right there, unfortunately for the side of WE. What that means is that this Baron dance is going to go even longer, and even if StarHorn is somehow able to get any kind of pick onto the side of World Elite, I don't think that it means that much at this point. Good decision from World Elite to at least start this Baron and try to force the decision.
They're going for the fight now. Algro's going to pop up Axion as he's looking to find Zero. The teleport coming as well from Cola. I don't know if he's going to get here in time. Insect, oh my goodness, he gets melted once again like he's made of paper. And Cola going to fall pretty quickly as well. That's 2 kills. One of them goes over to Wei Zhao once again, and now they're turning for the Baron. They're low a little bit. Actually, 2 of those kills went over to Wei Zhao. Both of them, he's been picking these up masterfully, and a perfect 7-0 on this game. Kill participation from the rest of the team also very high. And here comes Korn trying to steal the Baron, but nah, he doesn't. I don't think he even wants to try it anymore. This is still a dangerous situation for World Elite. And there's Korn, but he's going to get melted before he can do anything. Baron goes over to World Elite once again, 11-0, and StarHorn cannot catch a break.
I mean, the combination of that Blade of the Ruined King on Wei Zhao, as well as Axion's isolation damage, is just too much, basically. I mean, World Elite's objective control is so good, their pick potential is so good. Now with the Baron buff, their siege is going to be so good. I mean, everything really clicking for the side of WE right now. If you're a WE fan, I've actually said this before, and I told a colleague this when she predicted that StarHorn would take out the 2-0. WE is back, baby, and this shows it right there. What nice synergy.
This is brilliant right now. The jump in followed up by the wild growth, completely neutralizing any of the half-second delay threat. Insect jumps in, tries to be a hero. He goes down immediately. Cola follows him after the dive-in. They just don't have the damage output. And World Elite, props to them for returning to form. This is just an amazing, amazing game for them so far, and it shows why they deserve to be in the top spot.
Yeah, I mean, World Elite actually, some of the members of World Elite actually misplayed that fight. First of all, I think Conan could have gone the other way around the red buff and then used his solar flare in a more optimal position. Second of all, Chow Mei's explosive cask didn't do much to push the fleeing members of StarHorn Royal Club back into the chaos of that team fight. But still, good 2 kills coming out from WE. I mean, but really, as we mentioned before, it was all the jungler and the mid laner. We were talking about the 2 Koreans who came onto the side of World Elite. We were talking about that jungle mid lane synergy, and I think that's it in full display right there.
And they can make a couple of mistakes, and it's really turning out all right at this point, just because they're frankly so far ahead. They're up an item and a half over just about everyone. Every lane matchup is about that way. The roam together has been phenomenal. They have not had anything less than, I think, a 4-man roam since maybe like the 10th minute. It just they just stick together like glue, and as a result, World Elite has been protecting Wei Zhao phenomenally well. He hasn't really even been denied too. When they have the time for it, they just let him get the kills. Now it's not really that hard when you've got that much damage and crit, but it's been pretty amazing. And here comes Insect trying to set up a flank, but it might just be too little too late. The Baron up, entire 5-man of World Elite. They are knocking on this front door to victory. They're taking the slow path to it, however, as a 37.5-minute game will be the longest one that we've had so far today.
Right. Since Axion did get the Randuin's Mail, this might be the same. The initiation from World Elite might be the same. Kind of initiate we saw in this fight.
Kickback, but he's still going to be able to spend his flash and save his own life. And that Lulu shield comes in as well. There is no touching this rat.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even see Insect on my mini map, but really nice attempt for a play. But Yeah.
Well, there we go. Inhibitor fall. They're going to turn up to the second one as well. And I don't think there's anything left in the tank for StarHorn. They don't seem to be able to contest it. They don't really seem to have the will to continue fighting. They're just hanging out in the back trying to avoid skill shots.
I mean, given the CS numbers on the side of StarHorn Royal Club, it was obvious that the focus of the entire team, right from the moment they knew they were significantly down in gold, the focus of the entire team was to get as much CS and as many kills onto UZI as possible. He does have the Trinity Force, and he does have the Blade of the Rune King, as well as the Last Whisper, and he has an extra BF sword. So UZI is actually fairly strong right now.
He has been farming up pretty well too. He's 70 farm up over Twitch, but that can be pretty handily negated by 7 kills and 2 assists.
Yeah, I mean, UZI is strong. Unfortunately, just the positioning from the rest of the members from StarHorn, someone either gets caught, or StarHorn can't, or StarHorn goes in on a poor engage, like when Insects tried to pull an Insect onto Wei Zhao. So UZI hasn't been able to do much this game, and most of the time he's spent around the enemy team, as opposed to fighting them. Most of the time has been spent running away. In fact.
Well, this is a pretty good comp for frontline sieging, but they don't have a chance to really do much. And here's the fight we're talking about. Insect goes in, gets the kickoff, but he melts immediately, and then the tidal wave comes out, and Zero can't even save his life. So
yeah, it was actually a really nice play from Korn, because Korn made sure to apply the silence from the Sigil of Silence first before Insect came back in. So Insect and Korn both knew that Wei Zhao couldn't flash the Dragon's Rage. But unfortunately for the side of StarHorn, they weren't able to capitalize on that play.
And of course, that's where Wei Zhao did end up spending his flash after the fact. So once he was kicked, they focused on trying to chunk him down, but they really didn't have the right positioning to do it, and the kick didn't land exactly where Insect meant to place it, as he just was barely able to get it around the side. So as a result, Twitch was sort of half safe, half in danger, and then he immediately flashed out the moment the silence wore off.
Yeah, I mean, the next move, World Elite again looking so crisp right here.
Well, they can just keep this pressure up. Look at the Winions that are pushing on this other tier tower. They're pinging for it right now, but there's no way for StarHorn to really contest this. They have to send someone away, and that's the opportunity. UZI now is there. They don't have any pushing pressure. World Elite realizing this, they're going to push down this tower so quickly. Maybe they're going to back off if they don't have a minion wave just yet, but they have so many avenues of attack. At this point, it is looking like a matter of time before the final nail gets laid in the coffin. This tower is getting bursted down. Zero taking some poke. They're going to try to look on a Conan. Maybe they can end this perfect streak. Conan's still alive in this one. Somehow he's going to go down finally. 1 kill, but is it a consolation prize? Cola getting lit up right now, and now they're starting the final fight. Korn's going to go down. Cola is almost going to follow, but he gets kicked away. Now Xiaomei gets kicked as well, and there goes Zero. Only 2 members alive. Insects almost going to fall in this one, but they do manage to take down Axine as well. Kog'Maw picking up a kill onto Xiaomei. Somehow this is turning around, but Ninja, being a hero, is going to pick the ace, and this could be game over. Ninja whimsying away, and now looks like Wei Zhao's still alive as well. This will be the end of the game. A 41-minute game really doesn't speak volumes about how not close this was after the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, the reason why World Elite had a lot of trouble closing out this game was just because the tower sieging from World Elite's team composition was so very poor. But what a beautiful, really, really crisp stomp coming out from the side of World Elite. They played their composition nearly perfectly. They didn't, their micro and macro wasn't always the best. There were things they could have done better around the map. Obviously, there were some mechanical plays they could have pulled off. However, at the same time, the general idea was, they knew their win conditions, and the general idea was so good. So really great game by World Elite. StarHorn tried to respond. They put as much farm as possible onto Wei Zhao. They both Insect and Cola, the front line from StarHorn, they both got Banshee's Veils in order to avoid the large amount of magic damage peel, abilities that acted as peel from the side of World Elite. But unfortunately, StarHorn never really seemed to get the fight that they wanted. Even in the early game, when they weren't that far behind, they always seemed to be running away.
Yeah, they just couldn't quite get the pick set up early game, and they definitely had a composition that relied upon it just a little bit to get going, and they just never had a chance. So props to World Elite for recognizing that weakness, shutting it down promptly, and just superior rotation. Every single time. When there were 3 members of StarHorn, there were 4 from World Elite. When there were 2, there were 3. They just had superior numbers. They knew how to protect their carry just a little bit better. UZI never really had a chance to get any kills. He did stay safe a good chunk of that game, but it was just superior positioning overall from the side of World Elite. We'll see if they can do that again in game number 2, or will StarHorn come roaring back? Pressure is on them now to pick this game up.
Yeah, I mean, StarHorn really has to pick up this game if they want to, you know, convince people, if they want to convince their critics that they are for real. You know, they brought in second, they brought Zero in, members of the really, you know, internationally renowned KT organization. And they obviously, I mean, they brought those players in to win. You know, that was first and foremost the intention of each and every player on that roster. UZI, you know, Korn. I'm not going to talk about the top laner, but just because of how little I think of them. But you know, Zero, Insight, their intention was to win the LPL, and a lot of Western fans thought they would as well. However, World Elite, you know, and not just World Elite, but teams like OMG and EDG, I think they might make that journey to the top a little more harsh than what they expected.
Yeah, well, definitely a bit of a slap in the face for StarHorn World Club as they come up against a brick wall that is World Elite. But while we take a bit cooling off period, we'll be, you know, broadcasting you our normal commercial break for the time being. So please enjoy it all as we definitely wait to get into game number 2. Guys, don't go anywhere. You're watching the LPL in English, brought to you by Gosu Gamers and Games in Asia.
而是逼掉了龙女的一个闪现，龙女在那个大龙圈里面不知道该怎么办了，对吧？没错。而且在大龙视野的处理上 ，W3D 做的也很好，就是多次在这里，你猜我打了没？你猜我打了没？然后多次利用这里是把雪球。他还真不打，我急死了。
然后一会儿又打了，
打野都杀了，不打，是因为下路兵线已经推过去了，包括在破掉中上2路高地以后，